I would like to open the Newfane Selectboard meeting at 6:01 p.m. on November 21st, 2016. Before we go anywhere, I'd like to add the town office under old business. We have a statement that we need to read to the public, if everybody is okay with that.
Yes.
We'll put old business under unscheduled members of the public.
Okay.
Just before pay orders. Anybody got anything else they want to add to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll get started. Again, call the meeting to order. Thank everybody for being here. The first item up is, the second item up I guess, is minutes of November 7th, which is a regular select board meeting. You should have all got 2 copies of that, so you make sure you read it all. Would anybody like to entertain a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes as written for November 7th, 2016. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed or abstaining? The ayes have it. We're down to the November 14th budget meeting. Would anybody like to make a motion for that?
Motion to approve as written.
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the November 14th, 2016 budget meeting minutes as written. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? I will abstain because I only made part of that meeting. We're down to road foreman's, road commissioner's report. Somewhere I do have one of those. Yes, I do. All right. As far as the roads go, they're in good shape. Some of them still need some grading if the weather warms up again. The crew is still out cutting dead trees and brush. As far as the equipment goes, we have put winter tires in most of the trucks. We have tires on order for the 2013 Mack front tires. The plow frames and plows are all in the trucks. 2 of the dump trucks have wings on them for now. And all the equipment should be ready for winter. We've done a lot of service to the trucks and equipment to make sure they're ready. River Road Bridge, I met with Mark Pickering and V-Trans and also with Mike Renault about the bridge and its condition. They say it should be moved up on the list as they felt it is critical, in need of repairs. Right now it needs new I-beams and possibly a new deck. It's posted at 16,000 pounds, and they said that no trucks should be going over that with any more than what it's posted at, which means our trucks as well, and the grader and the loader. So it means we have to start plowing River Road a different way than we had before. We'll have to come in from Radway Hill and plow it up to like Mike Fitzpatrick's driveway, turn around there and go back the other way, and have our 2 pickups, or one of the 2 pickups, plow the bridge off. It does concern me that the fire apparatus is going to be delayed getting to sections of River Road now, with that being posted like that. Mark's going to get a hold of Wyndham Regional, try to get them to get the state to come up with some emergency funding to get it rebuilt. Mike Renault is going to give Mike a quote on replacing the beams and reusing the wooden deck that's there. He can just slide it off, he thinks. And he's going to give us another quote on new beams and a new concrete deck. Mark would kind of like to see the town put something in both papers, just stating that that road is or the bridge is in bad shape, and that the trucking outfits need to stay off of it. So if it pleases the board, I can work with Shannon and getting something out to both newspapers soon. Again, the part that bothers me the most is the fire apparatus. If they have to come all the way around Radway Hill and come all the way River Road to get to the other side of that bridge, it's going to delay things for probably a good 10 minutes. So, as far as the Williamsville Hall goes, I did call Barrow's Oil Company to come fill the oil tanks, because once it snows they can't fill them because they got to go down over a steep bank to get to the fill pipes. So they're going to fill it now. It was only down 1/4 of a tank on both oil tanks, so it shouldn't be too much. But being the town meeting's gonna be there and having it run for at least a week before town meeting, I figured we gotta get them full. Bridge 38, that's the one on Baker Brook Road that we got cited for from V-Trans. I met with Scott Jensen from the Department of Watershed Conservation Management, and he's issued a permit so that Daniel's Construction can start to work on that bridge. Daniel's been notified, and I expect to see them soon doing something on that bridge. So the other two bridges, I'm waiting for Lafayette to get there and give us some prices on bandrail. But that is all I have for the road foreman's road commissioner's report. Are there any comments?
Motion to accept, and then we can go into
Okay.
comments. Okay.
Motion's been made to accept. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made, seconded to approve the road foreman's road commissioner's report. Are there any comments?
I do. How far along are you on cutting the dead trees that are over the runoff ditches?
Well, we're still working with the wind that we've been having. We're still working on it. We still have some to do. We got quite a bit of it done, but we still have some more to do. After yesterday, there's some more down, so
Okay.
with winds, but
Because I've noticed a couple.
yeah.
The other thing is do we need a motion to get the signs out, the advertising out in the newspaper, or is this part of the?
I don't think we need a motion. We just
Okay,
need
so
to
we
all
just
be in
need-
agreement to
Yeah.
get it
okay.
done.
All right. And the other thing I wanted to know was, what does, has Daniels gone out and looked at Baker Brook Bridge?
Yep. They gave us that price of,
What was the price, do you remember?
remember what it was, Shannon? 58, 5,900, something like that. It's not that much money. 58 or 5,900.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody got anything else?
Just that if we could mark the beginning of those roads for emergency vehicles, and also let Rescue Inc. and the fire departments know.
I'll get a hold of our dispatch center,
Okay,
and they can put a tone out to a lot of departments that
yeah.
love
That'd
to
be
use the
good.
other end.
You put plates?
Because the bottom of the beams, where the webbing part of the beams is so badly rusted out that, because Mike Renault was gonna, that's what he was hoping to do. Once he looked at it, he said, there's no way. So
When was that ever monitored? How often is that?
the state inspects it every 2 years. So, and we've known right along that it's slowly getting worse. And
There's a lot of them.
we've got, yeah, when you have 50 bridges in town, it's,
They're all falling apart.
that bridge has been on Wyndham Regional's list for quite a while to get that pushed through.
So they waited a little too late?
I don't know if it's just a matter of lack of funding. Every time the state seems to need more money, they take it out of the transportation fund and put it into education or somewhere else. So they've got a serious bridge problem in the state, and we're right in the middle of one. So
Well, we have a lot of bridges.
anybody got anything else? But yes, I will get a hold of our dispatch, and they'll keep it posted too. So if we have a call there, they'll tell them to go around the other way. The rescue truck and the ambulance will be all right going over it, but the pumpers and the tankers won't be able to.
I'm wondering if
But
the
the passenger cars can go through?
Yeah, anything under 16,000, which is like a
I'm
1 ton or
wondering
less.
if those who live on that road, River Road, should also be somehow notified with either a handout, a postcard, or some kind of collective message.
Well, most of them are homeowners, so
Right,
I think if we get it out in both newspapers and then put it on the town's website, that
there you go.
should pretty much cover it.
Mhm.
If anybody knows front
Front page
port.
forum, yeah.
Front porch forum, okay.
You could ask, you could put it up, or Lori could put it up by going.
I can try to get, at some point, when I find out some more information, maybe we get Mark Pickering to come to the meeting and see what he can tell us, see if there's anything else he can tell us. All right, anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the road foreman's road commissioner's report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? Obviously I'm abstaining. Scheduled meetings, scheduled members of public, Green Lantern, Solar, nothing yet? Then I guess it's Deb Luskin's turn.
Thank you. I want to start by thanking you personally for the white lines on Grimes Hill Road. which has nothing to do with what I'm here for tonight. But I found my way here because of that. So I'm here as the town moderator and as a member of the public and as someone who's been involved in restorative justice for about 10 years. And with a proposal of a way to solve our problem of space for the town hall. So as moderator, I am all about process. I don't have an opinion about what we should do. I just have an opinion and an idea about another way to go about it instead of having hearings where people speak as if people who disagree with them are really out to rob the town or do something desperate, and the tone of the conversation really upsets me. And the result of 2 votes is, and I've heard, I don't know if it's true, that there's another petition to vote yet again. I don't see how that's going to actually change anything, or that if there's one more vote in favor or against it one way or another, that means there are all those votes minus 1 of people who are upset. And I think that I know that there are ways of, there are other ways, and I have a suggestion for one. And I've spoken also with Doris, who says that her committee can't do anything until you tell them, give them some directions. So it's a pretty simple idea. It's having a meeting. I don't know actually about whether it has to be warned or the whole public meeting thing. I thought I'd look into that afterwards. But where we invite people who are interested in figuring out what to do if we can agree that we have a problem here. And it seems like there's agreement that there's a problem in finding space for our government function. And just to use this circle process. So it's not neurosurgery. It is sitting in a circle where I would come up with questions. Everybody ask a question. Everybody sitting in the circle would have a chance, turn by turn, to answer the question. And what happens is that, and the questions would be open-ended, not, do you think we should build a new building or renovate the old one? It is, what do you think we need? And hopefully in the process, people also are forced to listen to each other. People tend to speak more kindly when they're asked specifically, what do you think? And we can ask a series of questions. You can go around the circle several times, and we might have to meet more than once to come up with ideas. But I think that using a process like this improves civic discourse, which in turn improves civic engagement, gets more ideas, better ideas, and when you get to a point of a proposal on which people vote, more people have a vested interest, and because the proposal has come from all these ideas. I don't know exactly how it would work. I know how the meetings would work. I've used them in my work with restorative justice. I think I came here once years ago saying I'd like to try this, but I knew I needed to wait until there was an actual specific problem to which it could be applied, and I think this is it. Having a hearing or having a special meeting where we have to follow Robert's rules is challenging, because it's very much it's more combative than collaborative. You're either for or against. There is not a lot of room for compromise, and the language of Robert's rules is also challenging when you come to amendments. And this would be a chance to have, it's still a controlled conversation, but it is more open-ended, it's more engaging, and I've been encouraged by Mike Merwicki, who is our representative from Putney, who is one of several Vermont legislators who's been tapped to work with the National Center for Civil Discourse, which is located in Arizona. It's grew out of the shooting of Gabby Giffords, which happened. I mean, that was people. Someone got really frustrated, and instead of talking, used a gun. And it's like we need to figure out ways to talk about problems in respectful and positive and collaborative ways. And I'd like to try it.
I think if you could organize something like that and
I-
do it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have to have I don't think the select board has to be involved in it, unless they want it. I mean, I don't think it has to be a town thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you wanted to get something like that organized and let us know about it, but it probably is gonna have to be warned, because if you have more than 3 select board members, or more than 2 select board members there, it has to be warned as a select board meeting
Mm-hmm.
legally. But if you could get that organized,
So you just say it would have to be warned.
wouldn't it, Shannon? If the select board is gonna be there, it would have to.
No, not necessarily, because if 3 of you go to a workshop in Montpelier, you're not having an actual meeting, you're not discussing
Right, you just
or
have to
making
be
decisions on
careful
town
that
business.
you're.
I don't think you would.
You gotta be
Not-
careful about the
Discuss or
open
vote
meeting
on
laws.
any policy.
Right.
There would be no voting, there would be no actual decision making. I think that what I need from you is to charge the committee.
They already have a charge that is broad enough to cover all 3 eventualities.
Which are,
Well, the new building,
yeah,
a renovation of this building,
Uh-huh.
or continue doing what we're doing today.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the sentence in the minutes that reflected what their mission was
Uh-huh.
gives them charge to go through all 3 of those.
All right.
Their mission is to come up with a solution.
But
Okay.
you're talking more about the way people speak to each other
Yeah,
and how
But-
they
but
listen
also-
to each other.
exactly. But also, which means people dig their heels in and they advocate for their ideas. I've done it. It's a normal response, but there are other ways where if people know that they're being listened to, they also tend to listen better to other people. And as you know from working on a select board, you put an idea out there and someone else improves it. You know, so it's just a different model. Doris seemed to think that she needed a new charge. I'm just reporting. I don't know. I'm willing to take on the work of publicizing it, but because I am town moderator and because this is public business, I would want some kind of approval, and actually ideally participation, where you would be members of the public, not select board, where you would sit in the circle, and when the speaking piece gets to you, you would get to say what you think. And I would like to make sure that we are squeaky clean about public meeting laws. So I would need some help with that.
I would like to respond to that and say that,
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, thank you for bringing up the idea and the proposal, and thank you for being willing to put this together. But if you're saying that it's not necessary, or you're not asking us to come as select board members, just as members of the public, then I think, for myself, I think that as a member of the public, then I'm just gonna decide if I'm interested in doing that or not, rather than saying, oh, it's a select board responsibility. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, so you're giving us, or you're giving me 2 options. Either I can just go as a resident to a meeting that I feel like I might get something out of, or if you're asking me or the group to be there as the select board people, I have a different point of view then. I personally don't think that the select board needs to give approval to something like this or to be involved with it, unless, because you're doing this as It's almost like as a contribution to the community.
Well, I happen to think that what you're doing is a contribution to the community.
Yeah, but differently, differently.
And if, when you put it that way, I think it would be incredibly helpful to have members of the select board there. I think it would be, I would want to make sure that we had whatever we need in place for public meeting laws. But I would, whether we call it a hearing or a select board meeting, I don't want to call it a special meeting. I don't want to have to use Robert's rules. But I'm also willing to talk to the Secretary of State and find out, you know, what the parameters are. I am certainly willing to do all the legwork. But I would, if dealing with our current problem of safe, habitable, sufficient space for our town government is a concern of this current select board, I would hope that you would all come and
To be honest
participate.
with you, I'm already meetinged out. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't the only meeting I go to. You know, I've got 2 or 3 other meetings a week that I go to, so for me to go to another one may not work so well. But not that I'm not interested,
Right.
it's just,
I understand, and I also know that that's also true of a lot of people who come only to the hearings and mostly to grouse. And I thought that because this is such a different model, and that it would take place at a different time. I'm thinking of a Sunday afternoon. I'm thinking of sweetening the pot with dessert.
So you're thinking this Sunday?
No,
So
no.
there'll be plenty of dessert left over.
Right, right. It's really too bad I hadn't planned it that way, because then nobody would have to do any extra baking. But I think we're looking at in early January or late January if we have to warn this. I mean, I think that I've just come here to see if this is worth pursuing, if there's interest in having me pursue it. And I understand that you guys have lives other than civic duties, and you also have other civic duties. But I'm putting out that, boy, it would make a difference to know that select board members were there. Maybe you're not all there, but it would make a difference to know that.
I would
Someone would
definitely
be there.
be interested in attending, you know, depending on when it's scheduled.
Right.
I think that any attempt to bring stability and congeniality and cooperation and all of those kinds of things to our meetings are important, is important. And I think it depends on, is this meeting that you're sort of forming, sketching before us about the town office committee and their task? Is that primarily what you're interested in?
That would be the purpose of this meeting.
Right.
It's not a feel-good meeting. We have a problem, we have 2 problems. We have a problem, we have inadequate space.
Yep.
And we have, we're unable, so in 2 attempts, to figure out a solution. So my proposal is that we have a different, it's a meeting, but it's just a different format. Instead of one side trying to win, we all try to figure out a solution. That's what, and it is town business. It's not, I'm not doing this because I love it. It's because, yeah, I'm in it. That's all I
Can I
can
say
say.
something?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with the premise of this, because first of all, we're following state regulations and about having meetings, having voting. We have had 2 votes, and the residents of this town have spoken and said that they are not willing to vote for a bond for a new building. And at this point, we've had the 2 meetings and we've had the votes, and as Todd said, I mean, we've done our job of what we were supposed to do. We held informational meetings, people came, they were very much encouraged to speak what they felt like, you know, was true for them, which they did. Some people were more upset, some people were very agreeable. People changed their points of view from meeting to meeting. We saw that, you know, somebody was against it in the beginning, and then the 3rd meeting they were really cheering for it. But it's not that because there was a vote against having a new building that we don't have a solution. We just have a response to the first thing, that we're not going forward to building a new building. There are still other possibilities that we are going to be continue with. If you're talking about having a circle meeting in general for people in the community, just to have conversations once in a while, to express their feelings and talk about how to get along and work more closely together, if that's your concern, you know, I think that's great. But to have a meeting again about the new town hall.
I'm sorry that, I think I've not made it clear. I have no interest in having a meeting about a new town hall. I have an interest in a meeting where people come together and decide how to solve a problem that we agree we have, which is inadequate space here.
Right, but okay.
So it's not saying, I'm sorry I haven't made myself clearer.
No, but Deborah,
Yeah.
months ago,
Uh-huh.
the select board had 3 choices, to 3 options that we all came up with along with the residents. One, to vote for a bond, to have money to build a new building. The second option would be to vote to have this building renovated to create more space. And the third option would have been to do nothing. Then we were, and that's what the vote was going to be. But then we were counseled by the town attorney and the bond attorney that we couldn't vote for all 3 options at once. We had to do one step at a time. So we've done step 1. We have talked only about the bond to have a new building, and twice now that's been voted down. So we do have 2 other options that we would be working on. It's not like now we have nothing.
And
Oh, I just had a question. Would this be in place of one of the other procedural hearings, or is it a community event to sort of see where we go?
I would have to talk to the Secretary of State to see if this is allowable as instead of a meeting.
Okay.
But it seems to me that even if the procedures that the option, there are 2 options left according to the procedure that you're already down the road of, that there is an opportunity here to think with more people, to think creatively about ways to affect the best outcome, and that so I don't. This is allowing people more chance really to listen to each other. The thing about a circle is it doesn't have any sides. People don't have to take sides. They can everybody's voice and everybody's idea is equal. And it's a proposal.
Gary?
This is, It's an old process called nominal group technique. It's what TVA used to use when they were going to remove a town and fill it with water. So you think building a town hall is hard. Think about removing somebody's town, moving it 25 miles down the road and then filling their old home place with water. And it works very well to help meet community consensus. And it would be nice if maybe we had started the process with this a year ago or a year plus, but we didn't, and now we are where we are. But it would be a good idea for those people who are interested. It doesn't have to be all the select board. It can be those of us who are on the board or who want to come to participate and to see what the community feels and what they'd like to say. It's a way to get out on the table what could pass and what could not pass before we have to go into the process of designing that solution for the public. And I think that based on our first experience, I mean, we know we're very close, but we're 10 votes short, and so majority rules. But I think we now have to take it to the next step, which is the renovation or do nothing, and figure out, let the community come to us and say, okay, this is what we think we ought to do. And then we can help sculpt that solution once we know what it is the public feels most comfortable with. The building committee's responsibility is to provide a working space for the town staff. And we don't care how they get there, but it needs to be done. The building needs attention. And however we can do it by getting more people involved, because the solution that we eventually come up with is going to have to last for a whole bunch of years. And so we want it to be the right solution. Whatever it takes to get there is, we just take the time and do it. We're shooting for something before the voters, perhaps as another bond vote for renovation, perhaps at town meeting. I mean, I'm just sculpting that as, we haven't met yet to actually put down those timetables, but that would be sort of what we're thinking about. It would be the next opportunity, without having to go to a special vote, which we could do, would be a town meeting.
What I see is a perfect, in my opinion, a perfect example would be to pass this on to the town office building committee. And it seems to me that to have a community night where it's open for all citizens to come and sit in a circle and with smelling all the wonderful desserts and all coffee brewing, all the things that you're mentioning, to be welcoming, and to sit down and to have the town office committee say, this, we have a job to do, but we don't want to go forward. And believe me, it is excruciating work to go through all the numbers, crunch all the numbers, do all that sort of thing. We're not going to go do that until we talk to you, citizens, and ask what it is that you're thinking about, or what do you visualize, what do you want your renovated town offices to look like. And then just record that, get that information down, and then the town office committee goes and tries to take care of the needs of the collective needs of the citizens. Not everyone's need is going to be met, but the collective needs. And so that's why I see that fitting in perfectly.
I think the next step would be for you to get a hold of Secretary of State, try to get it organized a little bit more, maybe talk to Doris and the building committee, see what their feeling is, and then come back to the board present something to us.
Well, Doris sent me here, so I'm.
Okay with the board, I can tell Doris that it's okay.
Yeah.
I am glad to work with the building committee to do this, which leaves you guys all off the hook. But what I am proposing, I think Carol's expressed it really well, is that with this method we could get, or you could get, input that's likely to pass without going through the contortion and expense of yet another vote, or only one more vote.
You'd still have to have a vote though.
Right, well, but
Oh, yeah.
maybe only, but
You'd still have to have
a
those
vote, a
hearings.
vote that's more likely to pass
Right.
than, and perhaps by with a larger margin that would make
Because
everybody.
it contains, the vested interest of, a good portion of the citizens, hopefully. And they have ownership in how this is going to be done. And that builds interest and, you know, builds enthusiasm for it.
So,
I
like I
think-
said, why don't you, no, Frank?
I think it's a good idea. I think the building committee and we should advertise for this, because the new building got shot down, so what are we gonna do next? Put an addition on this building? We don't know if the taxpayers even want that. So if this gets advertised, we did advertise every building committee meeting we had, looking for the general public to come in and give us some ideas, so, and nobody showed. So, but this is a great idea, and because it's kinda like why I'm here tonight, for the simple reason that, are we gonna put an addition on this building? Are we gonna possibly sell WW some of this land so that they can stay, which I personally would like to see stay in town? This 2.1 acres with this, it's up to you guys to decide that. I don't know how we can do it. We can't sell our leach field, we can't sell the well, we can't sell a spot for a backup system. But we can possibly sell Eddie. I saw him right after the vote out at Grace Cottage Hospital, and he said to me he would be interested. So we don't know how much, we don't know how much he needs. There's a survey, I believe, right on the table behind you folks of this piece of property. We also can't have another vote and another petition, I was told today.
That's something that's coming up later.
We need to talk about it.
Okay, and even though I signed it, it can't happen, so we've got a year, and it's a good idea to
I
have a
think the
meeting like this.
select
to
board
see
needs
what-
to really get together with this whole thing,
Yeah, yeah,
discuss
two
it
guys,
at a
it's-
meeting
it
and
really,
figure
yeah.
out what, and get
You know.
Eddie, I'd like to,
Yeah,
maybe the next meeting, get Eddie here,
yeah,
go into executive session.
I really don't wanna see Eddie leave, and if
See what we
we try
can
to
work
wait
out
a
with him,
year,
so.
he is, and Rick Wilson may sell this, so.
But I think for now, we,
Yeah, we really don't want to discuss it here.
No, we're not,
It's
we're
not
not
on this-
discussing
it's
it.
not
I said one of the
so-
problems about the whole vote last time was voting on the same thing, just a number. And that's what I said, I'd rather see the town spend a little money on a plan and drive something drawn up. It's just like this, I mean, if you vote on even renovating this, you're gonna have to have a plan first. So you got something to go with, so you get real numbers to people and people know what they're looking at. I mean, they hear 900 to $1 million and all this, they don't know, you know? And I think a lot of it, you know, being election day, you know, you had a big turnout. A lot of people just voted yes or no anyways.
Yep.
They didn't really know what they were even really voting, they just voted that way, you know, I mean.
we should get that on the schedule before we
you know,
discuss
so-
it, so.
But I think that if it's done again,
Right.
either we renovate or if you decide to even still the whole new building. Get a damn plan made up and let somebody look it over and so you know what you're really talking about.
Well,
I think what they're talking about is a good
I
idea.
think
we
what we
should
need to
stop.
do is just
Yeah.
get this guy scheduled for a different meeting, cause it's not in our, we're gonna get in
Agenda.
trouble with, open meeting law, we keep discussing this part.
Yeah,
And,
we,
and I
we
feel
need
like
this.
you've, given me instructions to go back to to go to the committee and work with them.
Yep, absolutely.
Does that, I'm just concerned that Marion, you had the most objections and I don't know where you stand now.
No. No, I think that's perfect. I just expressed what my opinion was, that we've had the votes, the
Yeah.
citizens have spoken, have spoken against having a new building right now. So we have had other options that we were going to be discussing,
Right. So I wanna be really clear that I'm going in, I have no opinion about what we should do. I am a facilitator, that's it. And,
No,
you know,
I'm not
the only
objecting.
thing that I'm saying is that we could have a meeting where we invite people to participate. People don't come to regular meetings, but we can invite people to come to a different kind of meeting where they know everybody gets the same chance to talk.
No,
And, and let me just finish, and then what we do is we just ask for ideas.
Right.
And that's it. This is trying to help the process so that it is not, so that we come up with a solution. That's, I mean, I don't care what solution, I think we need a solution.
I guess the only
yeah.
thing I was objecting to was right now to have it be a select board responsibility, that if you're inviting people as residents of the community to come, if you feel like it, that would be great. And I said, you know, then I personally would have a choice of whether to come or not. But that I personally didn't feel that it was something that the select board needed to take on as another project right now, to do this.
I understand that. I am going to talk to the Secretary of State, and I'm understanding that you're tossing this over to the building committee, and I will work with them. I don't want to do it on my own. I want to do this as part of the town, and I'm be glad to work with the building committee on this to try to get more participation and more buy-in and more ideas. So thank you so much for your time and for all that
Thanks
you
for
do
coming.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you for a
Thank
great
you.
idea.
Thanks.
Take care.
Okay, we're at Green Lantern Solar.
Should I just stay right here?
Depends. Yeah, you can if you want.
It's not too much of a swing here. Or maybe I'll move up to where Deb was. Nice to see you all. Thank you for including me in the agenda tonight. I wanted to report back about the work we've done and what we've found relative to a community solar project on the town landfill. After I was here before and we came to an agreement about an option to lease, I went out to the site in late September with Peter Edlund, our construction VP, and I went back on October 11th with Billy Joe Gujar, who's from the Brattleboro Field Office or Brattleboro Service Center for Green Mountain Power, and got a preliminary estimate from her. We took a look at the utility poles and the proximity of the power line and so forth, and she gave it, she gave it thumbs up. She thought it was a very feasible interconnection. And then I went back on October 20th with a consulting biologist who we work with named Dory Barton from Arrowwood Environmental Consulting, and did a wetlands delineation along the brook side, the eastern side of the landfill, and found that wetlands and the top of bank of the stream and so forth were not going to be an issue, that the array we propose is at least 50 feet away from any wetlands buffers and so forth. So we're at a point now where the next, and one other thing I should mention too is that I spoke with a woman named Casey Cathan, who works for the Solid Waste Management Program at the Department of Environmental Conservation. And she took me through the process of getting their approval as part of the larger permitting process to put solar on top of a landfill. She shared the state's policy with me. And what I'm coming here to do tonight is to request that that you consider going to the next step, which is to actually negotiate a lease with us. And again, the lease would be contingent upon our obtaining the necessary permits. So there's still some conditionality to a land lease, but that I would like to request that the town go beyond the option to lease we currently have, and actually sign a contingent lease with us. And one key thing that would allow is for us to simply bring a full survey crew out and go to the next step in terms of the actual civil engineering survey that would take us to a much more detailed design. The other two things are that we can't apply for the grid interconnection until the 1st of January, but that's what we would like to be in a position to do. And we can't submit a certificate of public good application until the 1st of January either, because the rule, as of today at least, is not in place. So that's my request, and we think it'd be a great site, and we're excited about doing community solar there.
We have another company, as you know, interested.
Yeah.
Peter, to be fair, contacted me and let me know that he was also in communication with you. We have a long-standing cordial relationship with Peter and his company.
So I guess to me, the next step for the town would be to negotiate who's gonna have the best deal. I mean, it's, you know, are we gonna get a better deal with you, and get more for our buck, or we're gonna get a better deal with him, and more for our buck? So somehow I think we need to, Shannon?
They've asked to be on the agenda for the next
Can
meeting.
you speak a little louder, Shannon?
They've asked to be on the agenda for the next meeting
Okay.
to present a proposal, so.
How big a field would you be putting in?
We would like to propose 150 kilowatts.
That's been the same for each presenter.
One of the things that was brought up with Peter, for me, which was rather important, is where this electricity is going after it's generated. And can you explain where the bulk of the electricity will be going after it's generated?
Sure. There are two ways to look at that. One way is to say that the actual electrons will simply feed into the grid. And the electrons themselves will energize that circuit and be available to anybody who plugs into that circuit locally. The key question is not where the electrons go, it's where the net metering credits go. In other words, whose
Right. electric
electric bills those net metering credits are applied to.
Yep.
And because we propose a community solar array, as opposed to an investor-financed array with one or two big off-takers, the answer is that the net metering credits, along with any other available tax credits, and there's a federal 30% investment tax credit and a state 7.2% investment tax credit, that the tax credits and the net metering credits would go to any individual, homeowner, small business that bought panels in the array. So it would be locally available. You could buy a panel, you could buy 10 panels, and we would simply sell them and set the array up so that its long-term maintenance and operation is secured, and then it would be kind of like a condominium or a timeshare in a sense.
So what happens, so after the array is set up and then citizens who live here have to buy one of them or rent one of them?
They would literally buy shares in the array. They would buy, the increment would be a panel, a 300 odd watt solar panel. You could buy 1 or 2 or 10 or 20, depending on how much electricity you use. In other words, how much appetite you have for credits. You wouldn't want to buy more credits than your annual electric bill, because then you'd end up with credits you couldn't use.
Yeah.
But so there'd be that kind of assessment. But you know, Kindle Farm could buy a chunk of them, or the Four Columns Inn, or you know, anybody around here who uses electricity.
And so the more they buy, the more tax credits and those kinds of things they have.
Right.
And how much are these panels?
To buy?
Yeah.
Well, that's something that I'm not prepared to say this evening, because I mean, we're playing with a spreadsheet now, and I'll tell you that the price is probably it's between $3.50 and $4 a watt. But take that with a grain of salt, because the rule itself hasn't been formally finalized and issued by the Public Service Board yet. They had a hearing up in Montpelier last Thursday, and I was up there today for a sort of a follow-up meeting. The rule will probably be out within the month. And until the rule comes out, or the update to Rule 5.100, we don't know exactly what all the terms of the rule will be. We don't exactly know what the incentives will be for net metering. So we can't quote a number that would be taken as a marketing offer until we're absolutely sure that that's what the law is going to say. But it would be somewhere in that ballpark.
So a 1,000-watt panel would be somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 ballpark without any commitment.
Well, the panels are probably either 320 or 340 watts.
Watts, okay.
So that, you know, a panel is going to be somewhere in the order of $1,000. But there are very attractive incentives for making that kind of investment, And then, credit unions, for example, also have very favorable solar loans,
Mhm.
PSECU, for example. So it's a good deal for a customer, and that's what we'd like to present, in the form of a brochure that lays it out in black and white. But that's what it would be, very clearly. And I live in Brattleboro, and so a serious piece of my job would be to basically market shares in the region. We would approach people in the immediate vicinity first, and then
That's what I wanted to hear.
and over time it ends up being sort of like we'd publicize it locally. We'd go out through Front Porch Forum, and we'd put material here in the town office and so forth, so that everybody in the neighborhood was aware and had time to make a decision. Anybody who lives in Green Mountain Power territory, anywhere in the state, could theoretically buy a share of the array. And for some reason, there are not a lot of available community solar shares out there at the moment. But we would focus our marketing here locally. We're doing the same thing in Guilford, by the way.
Is this $1,000 approximate cost? Is this a one-time cost or every year cost, or how does that work?
It's one time.
One time.
The only thing is that there might be a very small sort of ongoing maintenance fee to simply pay for, getting in and brush hogging and getting rid of weeds and growth and so forth, maybe once a year, and replacing the inverters after 10 years. So we would build that into the offer, but you're basically buying your share once, and then the net metering credits would flow to you for 20 or 25 years.
Wait a minute, Frank had his hand up.
Oh.
If this is gonna go on the town's landfill, does the town the town would have to buy a panel to get the electricity for the town?
It's a good question. There's a way to set up the array ownership in such a way that the town could take advantage of part of it under a different agreement than individual share purchasers would be able to take advantage of.
This is our landfill,
It's your land.
and you're putting your stuff on top. Now, my other question is, if I get two questions. The other question is, suppose no one buys into these panels, you build this whole thing, and nobody buys in. I mean, I'm gonna be 70 years old, I don't know if I wanna invest in that, but somebody younger could,
Yeah.
who's gonna stay in town for quite a while.
A couple of responses. One is, we wouldn't build it if we couldn't get it fully subscribed. But we have a pretty high level of confidence that there's a market out there, that continues to be a market, because it's a really attractive deal. The other thing, and I guess one reason my mind has just been kind of steering away from even discussing a discounted net metering credit deal with the town, is that I just keep assuming that you're going to buy a share of the Wyndham Solid Waste solar project opportunity, because it's going to offer such a good deal, and it would easily cover, it would satisfy the town's appetite for net metering credits in terms of the electricity that this building uses, and the town garage, and whatever electric accounts the town pays for.
See, we're gonna put one at the school.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, it's gonna cost us $350,000.
Somewhere around here, I guess.
You're gonna give us one for nothing. And
I think the town is also no money down for the school is no money down for the school district.
okay.
That's the same.
Well, if we generated the power at the dump, couldn't it go to this building, the town garage, and the school? We could save ourselves $350,000. Am I?
Part of that
missing
$350,000 was the heat pump, which they've already put in,
Okay.
and the new
Part of
furnace.
that money,
But
which
I don't
are
know
already
what
in.
the solar part of it was gonna be, but
Okay.
it was all together with those heat pumps and the furnace that they had to put in, but it was pretty expensive. And now I'm not so sure that, from the way the state's been talking, is they don't wanna take a piece of property like that and destroy it, where you can use the landfill, you can use Mike's gravel pit, places that the land's already used up and they don't see it and,
I went by Townsend, where Townsend put one on the landfill, it's ugly as hell, no offense, but it's just the way.
Not his.
And I was at Dover School, and they got a whole ton of them out in the back, and they're ugly. So, for me, do I wanna see them down behind the school? Right now, there's pine trees there, I think they look a lot prettier than solar panels.
it's all you're gonna see when you go by the school.
Yeah, you know, and
One of the things that I think is important, in my opinion, is that if and when this all gets done, and you are looking for buyers for the panels, that there would be, I don't know, 15-day, 30-day, in the beginning for any Newfane resident or for the town of Newfane to purchase first. Have you ever done that before?
No, but we could certainly look at something like that. You know, basically a sort of special offer period for
Yep.
citizens within the town limits.
Since it is in Newfane and it is our, the town's property.
Sure.
I mean, no matter what, you'd build it, no matter, you already got investors that would embed, you know, build the thing, and then you'll sell off the shares, the communities and stuff like that.
Well, this would not be investor financed. You know, in a sense, the investors would be the folks in the town who purchased shares.
No, but what I'm saying is, are you gonna wait till you get enough people to invest in it, to build it? Or would it go in and then start selling you shares, or?
Yeah, I think we would wait until it was fully subscribed. In other words, we would do all the engineering work and all the permitting and so forth, but we wouldn't actually start construction until most of it anyway had been sold off.
How many investors would you expect that are needed?
I can't remember how many panels. I think we're talking about 900 panels or so. I may be off with that number, but you know, you basically we would basically have to sell all the panels, and I think a typical larger house with a fair amount of electric usage might have an appetite for 10 to 15 panels. So it gives you a sense. I mean, there would be dozens of owners, of fractional share owners of the array. So we would have a pretty substantial marketing job to sell.
Looks like about 500. If 150,000
Yeah.
watts divided by 300 watts per panel, be about 500
Yeah, I think it's maybe closer to 6, but it's
500 watt.
yeah.
subscribers.
Subscribers.
Yeah.
I think the
But-
town needs to meet with this other company at the next meeting. I think the town also needs to figure out what's going on with Brattleboro landfill and whether, which way we're gonna go with this thing, cause
We haven't heard anything about
Well, I
that.
think no matter if Brattleboro goes or
Right,
not, I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, I'd like to see something go on ours, no matter what. But I think probably like you're saying, the best thing is to, in all fairness, is give the other guys a chance to talk too.
Right.
Then you guys both put your packages on the table and see who decided. You know, it's just like we're saying about bidding the buildings or anything, you know?
Right,
Everybody lays it all out there and then we look it over and this is the one we wanna go with.
right.
I don't think there'd be any challenge in finding any subscribers.
Well, no, it's just like you said, if you can't find it all in the community, then you start selling off to some bigger outfits. I mean, it'll fly, I mean, it goes out, and
Yeah,
it
well,
gives a chance to
it's
people
not
to
a
do it.
risk for them.
well, I think we need to check in with the Wyndham Solid Waste too and figure out what is going on there. Maybe maybe we wouldn't be better off to do that, maybe this Green Lantern or the next company would be better, I don't know, but.
For our use, I think it's definitely better if we, for Wyndham Solid Waste.
Right.
Yeah.
But what would the town receive if we weren't using the net metering credits? Would you lease it?
Yes.
Okay.
And in the option to lease, I think we've offered $5,000 a year for the first 10 years, and then it would escalate to $5,500 for the next 10 years.
Okay.
So you'd be the landlord, you know, and then individuals and so forth, small businesses would reap
So
their
they
own
would-
benefits directly.
They would come here, say 10 years from now, some of the panels that the person has moved on or whatever, and now they need to be, resold, who does that? We do.
We would
Oh, you
take
do.
responsibility for
You
that.
do that, okay.
And
Perfect.
the thing is that you can sell your share, you can leave your share in your will to somebody, you can donate your share. It's
And you take care of all
Totally
of that,
transferable.
figuring out who, where, when, and,
absolutely.
okay.
And if you go bankrupt, then what happens?
Well, if we go bankrupt, the thing is that the array itself is set up as its own LLC, it's its own corporate entity. And it's gonna keep producing valuable credits as long as the sun shines, with very, very little maintenance. And so it's a valuable asset for anybody. And you know, believe me, whoever bank or whoever comes in and takes over the assets would continue to operate it. And I don't think the owners of the panels would see any difference whatsoever.
Yeah, but if you were to go bankrupt and walked away from it, then the town has to start taking care of it?
No. The town would remain the landlord, but the thing is, because it would be partly debt financed, the banks or bank that we work with would have a cure provision, and they would try to transfer it to another operator as soon as possible, maybe to Peter. But in any case, it would be a valuable asset, and it would be in everybody's interest to keep it operating without
They said at the
a hit
Newbrook
show.
Elementary School too, and then that company that was gonna do it went bankrupt. That's
Yeah.
what I'm asking you.
The difference there is that they hadn't built it yet. There was no asset. There was just a promise.
Right,
Yeah, so they haven't built it yet,
so,
excuse me?
I mean, if they go bankrupt, they go bankrupt, so.
Supposed
Somebody's
to
gonna take
go
over.
bankrupt. Or
What's that?
Even at $5,000 a year, maybe the town's better off taking so many panels for that $5,000. There's a lot to be offered between two companies here.
Right.
Well, and the third one, William Solid Waste, is offering a much better deal than either one.
Sounds like you need another committee.
Well, like I said, I think the best thing is, we gotta talk to these guys in all fairness, let the other one come in, and then throw it on the table.
Is this the best deal?
And that Wyndham Solid Waste did sound good, that sounded good for what the school was doing, you know?
Right.
But like you're saying, at least this way, we'll take our check, right now we've been spending $4,000 a year, or $5,000 a year for maintenance and whatever else, now's a chance to get some money back, you know?
Right.
And then whatever we do with them guys down there, maybe we get our electric bills paid for nothing too, with them guys, you know?
If you get a lightning strike, is that passed on to the shareholders or is that covered by insurance? How does that work?
That would be covered by insurance.
Okay. So there is, for major calamity, there is an underlying insurance policy.
Yes. And we would spell all of this out in an actual pitch to owners.
It would be in the contract that you're signing with the owners.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Would this be part of Green Mountain Smart Grid so that if there's an emergency, they can cut it out? So that if there's a fire, the fire department can operate there safely? Or would you have to manually disconnect?
Oh, I don't exactly know how that would work. I'm not the person to ask, but I can find out.
Okay.
Um,
That would be important to us in case there is an emergency there, to know that it can be cut out. We had a situation 2 weeks ago where the power went off at 9 o'clock or so at night. Midday the next day, some of us started calling Green Mountain to find out why the power wasn't back on. They went, power's out. We know the power's out in Newfane. And so they had no idea that the power was out here. Yeah, it was a little shocking.
well, ours, if the grid goes down,
Mhm.
the solar array automatically disconnects.
Yeah,
It doesn't continue to feed the local circuit.
yeah, that I understand. Yeah.
There's a breaker. One item quickly about Wyndham Solid Waste. The deal there is that any off-taker, I guess, I think just the municipal off-takers, would pay 13.9 cents per kilowatt hour for a net metering credit that is worth 19 cents. And that deal is history as far as we're concerned, because once you get into 2017, that value, net metering credit value, is gone forever. And if somebody can do it in their head, 13.9 cents divided by 19 is a pretty significant discount. That's why I just think that that's a really good deal to look at. And we have no interest in that project whatsoever. We have actually offered to buy or somehow acquire the Newbrook School project from Sun Edison, which is the company that got it and that went bankrupt. And in fact, even just within the last couple of days, Scotty Tabachnik and Kim Friedman put us in touch with the folks who are now managing all of the asset sales that's part of the Sun Edison bankruptcy. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I mean, we're certainly interested in that project. But they need to be looked at really differently. That has not been envisioned as a community solar project.
All right, so
Wow.
what's the board's pleasure to meet with this other company next meeting? And then have the two companies come up with a bid package so that we could see what's in front of us?
Yeah, we'll try to put together some specifications, see how they come out, pricing.
I don't think that I can't speak for anyone else, but I don't think, I'm at the point to negotiate some kind of lease with Green Lantern at this point, until we get all of the information from both companies.
That's what you just said, right?
It sounds great what you're proposing, what Green Lantern is proposing. But we need to get more specific information in writing and also give the other company a chance to do the same.
And then I assume they would go to a town attorney before we did anything to. Well, we certainly appreciate all the work you got into it, and it sounds pretty good so far. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd almost be nice too, if this is the 21st, so our next meeting's what?
December 5th.
The 5th. So that's, and then the following meeting would be the 19th or so.
So we have a budget meeting on the 28th.
Okay.
The 19th.
Well, what I was almost thinking is we did the next one with them other guys, and then by the following meeting, they both come in with their proposal, because, like he's looking at January.
Yeah.
That way by January, we can come into an agreement and set this thing forward.
That could be our target date.
So what I'm saying is, like, our next meeting would be the other people, and the following meeting would be the time they bring their proposals in, and we make a decision before January.
It would be really great if you could mail them in earlier before the meeting, so we could have a chance to go over them.
Before the next meeting?
But no.
The
2 more meetings out,
Yeah.
so it's like the 19th of December. The 5th would be the next meeting where the other one wanted to come in, so they come in and at the following meeting, you guys have your proposals and we'll make our decisions,
So the advantage that Green Lantern has is you have 2 weeks to come up with with everything in black and white.
Well, I intend to come back and make sure I see Peter's presentation.
Okay, that sounds good. I have a
All right.
feeling you would.
So we should also try to contact some of the other towns that have done this, get copies of what their proposal, their bid document looked like, their specifications, et cetera. So as we know what kind of, we don't write something, then the bidders go, what are they talking about? So we look like we know what we're
We
doing.
can get a hold of Dover and we can get a hold of Townsend and see what they've been doing. Well, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
very
you
much.
coming.
Thank you.
So you're gonna put the next company on the next.
There are, yeah.
Shannon's got some work to do.
Yeah. So while we're on the subject of power, I was pretty shocked when Green Mountain had no idea that the power was off in Newfane. And I would like to get their representative in here to explain to us what their plans are, to make sure we don't get out of power in the middle of winter and they don't know anything about it.
I'm surprised to hear that from you right now, because there were some people on West Street who immediately had called Green Mountain Power when, within the first half hour.
They said they had no reported
That's
outage.
strange.
Yeah.
We called,
Yep,
A lot of
and
people.
so there were citizens who did call.
well, we called too,
Yeah.
but they had no record of it. When you tried to go to their website and report it, showed no outage here whatsoever. We had the same problem in
Because
on
it is
the
just
Cape.
it is just a canned message, that when you do call, they usually say, yes, this is whatever your address is, and,
Yep.
we know that the power is out, and, we should have it on in so
This
many
is
hours.
on their website where that you're supposed to be able to track it. And when it shows all the other towns around you, your town's not there, and they show no reported outages for your town.
That's right.
It's
so-
definitely important to
This isn't on the
communicate that.
agenda either tonight, so,
Yeah,
you can record.
I'll request that.
Yeah, that would be good. Only because it's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Unscheduled members of the public.
I thought you were doing old business.
Old
No, I
business.
said I do it right after unscheduled members of the
Oh,
public.
I thought you said.
But the unscheduled member doesn't want to say anything, so
I think he already did.
unless
I
BCTV'd
just-
like to say something.
You and I talked about this, the town garage. I changed 2 doors for you guys. They had 1997 stamped on the side of the door. That's 20 years. We really gotta stick about maintenance of our buildings, because we can't be changing doors every 20 years. Todd's got 1 more panel to do on the garage door, 2 more. And you gotta do something with the overhangs, with a roof over some of the doors. You gotta start thinking about this stuff, because it's rotten, the metal siding. And we ordered a sheet, I still haven't seen it, but it's just, we gotta do something. You gotta do something, put some money in the budget. I suggest putting a 3-foot overhang above the garage door so that the water gets pushed farther away. I told you that in the garage the other day, and maybe even a little roof over that door that you guys use the most. The one on the opposite end of the building is like brand new, because it doesn't get the weather.
Well, yeah, we don't ever use it.
The other thing we could do is, since we know that a door lasts 20 years when exposed to Vermont weather, is you just build into the budget every 20 years, you gotta buy doors for that building.
Well, I think a roof over the door would probably solve
If
that
that works,
problem. And
yeah.
it'll stop this, just metal roof, something not expensive, but just something to keep the water from rotting the sills and the metal door. It wasn't just a wooden door frame, it was the metal doors. And a coat of paint. I mean, it's just like the front of this building. I don't wanna, but
Have
I
fun
mean, we
with that.
gotta start
Yeah.
thinking about this stuff, because it just costs too much, the prices.
We definitely gotta add in expenses to all the buildings for doing repairs.
And make a commitment to actually use that money for those expenses.
It's just facilities management, 101.
There's like
Power
5,500 a
washing,
year.
just once a year, have somebody come by with a power washing. Half the paint will be coming out front of the building when you do, but that's okay.
It'll be on the ground and we'll get charged with lead paint.
Lead
so.
paint.
Let's face it, abatement, whatever.
All right, anything else?
That's it for me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Old business, town office.
Frank, you gonna say for that part,
Frank, you probably wanna say for this one?
for town office discussion?
I was under the impression we couldn't do anything.
I got it right here. That's what we're gonna talk about.
Okay.
What we have is that the select board received an email from Gary Katz notifying us of a petition that might be circulating to revisit the town office bond question for a 3rd time. The select board confirmed with the bond attorney, Paul Giuliani, that the same question cannot be presented to the voters more than twice in any 12-month period. Therefore, if a petition is presented to the select board to revisit the same question any time in the next 12 months, it will not be accepted in accordance with 24 VSA section 1755B. And I basically just said it, but it's right here. A municipal corporation may not submit to the voters more than twice in the same calendar year or any 12-month period the proposition of incurring a bonded debt to pay for the same or similar public improvement with all the state statutes. So in other words, if the town decides that it wants a new building and they want to stick with it, you have to wait a year from when the date of the general election was before you can present it again.
So there'd be no
Or
worry.
the town can go work on a renovation
Yeah.
and get all the ducks in a row And you can go for a bond vote as long as it's for an
It's a
addition.
different question,
For
It's a different
question.
yeah.
question.
I'm not against, and I said this before, I'm not against putting an addition on this building. If people, this is what people in the town, this is the voters spoke to us. I mean, that's the way I look at this whole thing, this, our whole democracy is set up this way. They voted, we had 990 people come out, and they don't want a new building. Okay, that's cool.
I think it's just important that the select board gets it out, because there is supposedly, I haven't seen it, but supposedly there's a petition going around.
It is, I signed it today.
And when it comes to our desk, we're going to have to tell those people, sorry, but that petition is no good.
And that's what we found out today, because I was here today, because Doris is away. So I was here, I signed it out on the front porch, along with Doris, and there was some other names on it. If it's no good, it's no good.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
I'm not saying you, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that we as a select board need to let the people out there know that if
I
we get a
understand.
petition back
Yeah.
for a new building, it's gonna be denied because we have to do it by the state
Well, the
statute.
petition wouldn't be for so much a new building, it'd be the same petition on that same 900,000.
Right.
For the
I
bond
mean, it
vote.
isn't saying that you couldn't still build a new building as long as you change the wording and,
I think it
You'd have to-
It does, no, it
No,
no,
does.
you'd have to have a, no, it's a whole different thing.
No,
They're
it's-
bidding on a $900,000 bond. What I'm saying is, just like I said before, if you come up with a real blueprint and had a real bid, I mean, stuff like that, if it come in at 500,000, you could bid on it, you know?
No, you
They
can't.
actually can.
You
can't
If
for a
you
year.
see it, it's to pay for the
You
same
can-
or
I wouldn't do
a
it.
similar public
It would
improvement.
have to say renovation,
Cannot
because
be a similar.
Shannon asked him
public
that, he
improvement.
said, no, you can't. If it's a new building,
It's-
any type
it's
of
a
new building,
similar-
it can't be for a
uh,
year.
I mean, if he's looking at development anyways, it'd take a year to get it all out anyways,
That's right.
to do it right. That's what I said, that's why I didn't like this last one, you know?
That's what we had to deal with, that's.
Right, you had to do it within 60 days and all that, that's what I said, you had to do it.
That's enough for me.
The
We got
important thing
closer.
is that now we've got this out,
Yep,
and anybody that watches BCTV or reads the comments, because they're gonna take it off BCTV anyways, it'll be out there to the public that this is why the Newfane Select Board cannot accept another petition,
Right.
so.
Consider all that. You guys gotta think about an addition.
probably.
And you gotta direct us for the building committee, and again, we can't do anything for one.
In the October 3rd meeting, we gave a charge to the building committee which covers all this. The building committee is ready to meet tomorrow.
When Doris
There's
gets
no-
back from vacation.
Yeah, there's no restriction or no waiting for what we're gonna be doing, they already have the charge.
The only thing is, the building committee should meet with the select board, try to figure out what we want for him. What space do we need, what do we want this thing to look at? I mean, you could add on over there, if you move the septic tank, you could add on that whole area over there if you really wanted to, but
I put a sketch sitting in the solicitor's office one day of a building out the back, take the middle window out between the men's and women's room, put an annex with storage on one side to a separate building with its own separate entrance, even a new handicap ramp to that, which would eliminate the problems if there is one with this one. And remodel the
This is not on the
bathrooms. I don't
agenda.
think it's a lot of money, but again, it's, you need a set of plans. You gotta go deal with labor and industry. You gotta invest some money to put it out to a vote. So,
Well, on renovation, we already have a pretty good set of plans. There'll be some, there need to be some changes to them, but at least they're good enough as a bid document, something to throw against the wall and see what sticks. We didn't have that, and we didn't have the opportunity to actually do that because the public had not given us permission to spend that money to do those purposes. Now we have at least the 35 and what remains from that we can use to further specify plans as they might come forward to us. But
I think it's important that the select board get involved with this whole thing, figure out space needs and future needs and.
Well, I actually like what Deb was talking about. We need the citizens to come forward and also, because you have to build enthusiasm for this. And we can't just say, okay, this is what we want, take it or leave it. We really need to do a better job. And that's one of the things I think we need to do.
All right. maybe the next meeting we can discuss, get it on the agenda and discuss this a little bit more.
And also to invite the town office building committee to attend that meeting, that when we do discuss it.
She'll be back on the first, she said. And then you wanna talk about maybe selling a piece of this land to W.
So can we
I
talk
think
about
that's
that
our-
another
Yeah.
time?
I think that would be our next step, but we can't do it here,
It's
so.
not on the
Yeah,
agenda,
we're not-
we
We
can't
can't
discuss
discuss this now.
Is it
All right.
go now?
Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Thank
We're done
you
with you.
for coming.
We're down to pay orders.
Okay,
Do we have correspondence?
Yes.
Do we have
It's in the
correspondence?
box.
It's in the correspondence box, yeah, I'm getting somewhere.
As long as you're nice.
I'm always nice to
You
you.
don't even know.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. This is new. Want me to do this one?
What is it?
The Rock
wanna keep
River
this, Shannon?
Preservation and Organization.
You want this?
I don't need it.
Rock River Preservation,
Carol, do you want to keep this?
one pager.
Not unless Shannon needs it from.
No?
Yeah, you can read that. Carol's got one that she's gonna read.
Hello, Select Board on the town, of the town of Newfane. The Board of Rock River Preservation, the organization that owns and cares for the 1.2 miles of trail along the Rock River in Newfane, Vermont, has become aware of some concerns voiced regarding pedestrian traffic at the junction of Route 30 and Depot Road. About 5 years ago, we partnered with the Vermont Department of Transportation, the town of Dummerston, the town of Newfane, and concerned neighbors to install a warning light and signage as well as to establish a roadside parking only on the southbound side of Route 30. To the best of our knowledge, this has eliminated most, if not all, problems. We are very pleased to have many river users of all persuasions using the river harmoniously. Especially gratifying is the increase in young people and families enjoying the downriver swimming holes. However, we have concerns about the lack of a north shoulder of Depot Road, where there is traffic turning and no safe walkway for pedestrians. It appears it might be a fairly easy fix. Should you decide to propose changes to the very short stretch of Depot Road, Rock River Preservation Trust would be pleased to offer letters of support as needed. Thank you for your past efforts. We look forward to continued partnership with all the parties concerned with the Rock River. Tom, is that Chiafalo?
The problem with that is the section he's talking about does not belong to the town of Newfane.
Right.
It belongs to the
That's
town of
true.
Dummerston.
Yep.
So they need to go to the Dummerston Select Board.
Okay,
I'll
so
contact Tom and let him know that.
you wanna do that?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
thank
do
you.
that.
Now, we have one from the Newfane Planning Commission. Notice of public hearing regarding amendment to the town plan. I'm not gonna read 6 pages, but I'll read the first one. Dear Select Board members, on November 8, 2016, the Planning Commission voted to accept the proposed amendment to the town plan as presented to the Select Board at the September 19, 2016 meeting, with an additional sentence stating that there would be no financial burden on the town if it received village center designations. On November 12, 2016, the Planning Commission mailed the notice of public hearing regarding amendment to the town plan reporting form and a copy of the proposed amendment to the town plan to abutting towns, the Wyndham Regional Commission, Vermont Department of Housing and Community Affairs, and other interested parties. Copies of the notice, the reporting form, and the proposed amendment are attached. The notice of public hearing has been posted online and in 5 designated posting locations. It will be published in the Brattleboro Reformer at least 15 days in advance of the hearing on December 13, 2016. Following the hearing, the Planning Commission may make changes to the draft plan and they may forward it to the Select Board. After the Select Board receives the amendment to the plan, they then also have a public hearing before adopting the amendment. Respectfully submitted, Lindsay Forrest, Chair, Newfane Planning Commission. And if you guys, you know, obviously we'll leave it here, there's
It'll be here in this
like,
room, is
yes,
that correct?
you're right, there's like
And it's on a Tuesday.
6 pages. So probably leave it here. And Shannon, you can do whatever you would like with it, as long as it stays in this room,
Oh, okay. Oh.
right? We are down to now pay orders.
We had also a correspondence from Gary Katz that he wanted read into the record.
No,
That's why we had this other,
Okay,
we acknowledged that we received it from him, because we also had
Okay.
emails from other people,
yeah,
so.
right.
But we acknowledged it, because the first thing I said was the select board received an email from Gary Katz,
Right.
so. Thank you, BCTV, I guess we're all set.
Thank you.
We're just got pay orders to do, so you're off the hook.
The orders are very exciting.
Okay, ready?
Yes, we-